Tonight by Terry O'Neill, president of the National Organization for Women. Terry, great to have you with us tonight. 13 days out from the election. This is a blockbuster story for women in this country and women's rights. Does this elevate the conversation at a very important time for women?
Yeah, and I think that it makes very, very clear to women where Mitt Romney and his soulmates, Paul Ryan, Todd Akin, Richard Murdoch, actually stand on women's rights. Look, we put out a statement saying that Richard Murdoch is Mitt Romney unmasked. And what we mean by that is that Mitt Romney, when the cameras were not on him, back when he was a lay bishop in the Mormon church, he actually pressured a woman whose blood clots were making her pregnancy life-threatening to her. What he said to her was this: why should you get off so easy? Other women don't get off that easy. And he wanted her to continue the pregnancy even though it was threatening her life. Her parents were frantic. Her father actually threw Romney out of the house and said, don't you ever come back and talk to my daughter that way. They actually cared about women's lives, that woman's life, in a way that Mitt Romney doesn't even conceive of caring for women's life. So let's be very clear. Richard Murdoch told the truth about what the Republican Party now wants to do to women. It is a terrible shame for the Republican Party. The Republican Party used to be run by people who were responsible. I didn't agree with them much of the time, but right now what we have is a radical fringe in control of the Republican Party and the policies. And Mitt Romney is right in the thick and the middle of that fringe and very unpopular with the American people.
So your message to women tonight across the country who may be undecided is that this could be a benchmark election when it comes to women's rights, and you are convinced, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that this crowd, if they have the power, they will overturn Roe v. Wade.
There's no question in my mind, Ed, that I think that's absolutely right. They will do everything they can to overturn Roe versus Wade. Mitt Romney will support personhood amendments that criminalizes all abortion in all cases. Look, I think you mentioned earlier, over 32,000 pregnancies in the United States every year result from rape. Another statistic that a lot of people don't know is that 31 states actually still give rapists fathers' rights. So access to the child that was a product of rape, and therefore access to the rape survivor. We are working very hard to change these state-level laws, but they do exist. And so this makes it all the more important that rape survivors have complete control over their own futures, over that pregnancy. To prevent the pregnancy, they need EC, emergency contraception. And if a woman becomes pregnant through rape, she must have the absolute decision-making power as to whether to continue that pregnancy or not. It cannot be up to men like Richard Murdoch and Paul Ryan.
Do you think this will affect women? And the clock is ticking, less than 2 weeks. Can it have an impact on the election?
You know, I think it can, and I think what is a real problem is that women voters and many other people, I think opinion leaders, have a very hard time wrapping their brain around the reality of the danger to women that is posed by these men. I don't blame them for having a hard time wrapping their brains around this. This is way outside the norm. It is something that you want to see that can't possibly be true. The sad reality, it is all too true. And these men are that close to taking power and to imposing the most draconian, truly misogynistic, truly woman-hating policies on this country. And you know, my organization and women's organizations all around the country we're partnering with, we are doing everything we can to defeat these men, and I think we will. But it is hard for people to really grasp how dire this threat is.
Well, they're crystal clear on where they stand on the issues, no doubt. Terry O'Neill, thank you for joining us tonight.